Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the E-Commerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the E-Commerce Edge podcast with me, Jason Greenwood, your host. It is my incredible pleasure to welcome our amazing next guest, Mr. Dan DEMSKY from Unbound Merino from the Great White North of Toronto. Welcome, Dan.
How are you? Good to be here.
It's awesome to have you along for the ride with me today. You were saying off air, which I don't hear very often, you said that you've actually been to where we've been living for we've only been living here for a year, but we spent the last 2.5 years traveling around Mexico quite extensively. But you said you've actually been to where we live now, which is Puebla City.
I have briefly for a lunch. I was visiting some ancient ruins town north of Puebla, coming from Mexico City, and on the way back in, we stopped in Puebla, had lunch, ate some mole. I remember it was
Yes.
the first time I liked mole because I've had it a few times. I'm like, I don't get it. It's like chocolate chicken. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But I had it there. I'm like, oh,
You're like, I understand now.
Different. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I love almost all Mexican food. There's very little Mexican food I don't like. My wife, she's Asian, and she's much more picky about what she likes and what she doesn't like here, particularly with Mexican cuisine. And she doesn't like all of it by any stretch of the imagination, but mole is by far her favorite Mexican food. And we're very lucky that we ended up in Puebla because mole poblano it came from Puebla. That's where mole originated. So if you want to have the best mole in Mexico, it's generally understood you come to Puebla, you're going to get the best mole we have to offer here in the country.
Yeah, it's the best I've had. It's the first time I liked it. I'm like, I get it now. It's great.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Listen, we're not here to talk about mole, nor are we here to talk about Mexico. We're here to talk about your incredible business that you built from scratch into a $40 million a year juggernaut on the back of some pretty strong brand building, obviously some pretty strong digital chops. But how did you even come to be in this crazy world of fashion retail in the first place? Like, what drew you into it?
I wanted to launch a brand. I didn't know what it would be. I didn't know if it would be in clothing or in food. I just wanted to create an e-commerce product. I had a service business that was just draining me. And while we did in our first few years, I felt like this was not a life for me, always hunting new business. I want to create a product business and scale an e-commerce company. The problem is I just didn't know what that would be. So I went on it. It was literally over 2 years, a soul searching journey of trying to figure out what is the product we can create. And I met with my best friends who are my business partners in this business every, let's say, 2 weeks. And we come up with ideas. And we came up with all sorts of bad ideas, maybe good ideas, but we were just talking about it with the intention of we'll find our thing. And it wasn't until I discovered merino wool for myself that I had an idea for a spin on it. Now, I didn't know merino wool existed as a super fine fabric that could be t-shirts. I've known wool as something you can have in a sweater or a beanie or a scarf. But I was looking to travel light. I wanted to find ways to pack with just to carry on. And I came across this Reddit thread that said to pack for overseas travel just to carry on, wear merino wool t-shirts because they're antibacterial, they're odor resistant, they're wrinkle resistant. So you can pack 2 or 3 of these things instead of having to pack, let's say 14 if you're going away for a couple weeks. I thought, I've never heard of merino wool like this. So I went to buy some. And while I did fall in love with the fabric, I didn't love any of the brands because all of the brands making merino wool t-shirts were making stuff for the great outdoors. And that's not the kind of travel I did. I did go on the occasional hike, but I was more a city traveler.
Urban guy.
That was me. I was going to cocktail bars and restaurants more than the vistas and the lakes. And the stuff that I was buying, I didn't have the versatility to dress up. I didn't need it to be fancy. I just what if I put on a nice pair of pants and a watch? I want to go to a cocktail bar and feel good. But all of the stuff I was getting was boxy. It had reflective logos on it. It was made for the canoe trip, not the cocktail bar. And I couldn't find anything that had a slightly better fit or a little more stylish. And I thought, that's it. There has to be more people out there like me. Let's give this a shot. The challenge is I had no capital, I had no time, I had no energy, I had no money, I had nothing. So I did a crowdfunding campaign as a way of product market fit and validating the idea, but also to get some funds. And I'm like, if this works, I have my dream business. I've been looking for something. If it doesn't, I'll create a prototype. I'll have a box of t-shirts I wanted anyway. It's a win-win. Let's give it a shot. And we tried to sell $30,000 in our first month, and we ended up doing 400,000. And I thought, there it is. There's the product market fit. There's other people out there just like me who see that this is a way of changing the way they travel. So we became the merino wool brand for people who do more urban traveling, who want to look a little bit better with this slightly more stylish merino wool t-shirts.
Wow. And before we get into the product expansion, because you've got an extensive product line now, it's well beyond the merino t-shirts now. It's into all sorts of urban wear. I would consider it slightly more upmarket than your average, trousers or jeans or pants or whatever it is. And certainly it's clear from your product range that you're going for that more. I don't want to call it urban snob or urban elite or a hipster, but definitely it's more than jeans and a cotton t-shirt. That's definitely, you're going for an aesthetic that's definitely one level above, one step up from jeans and a t-shirt look, or jeans, t-shirt, and Nikes kind of a look here. That's very clear from an aesthetic perspective. How much of this was partially driven by the desire to have a business that had location independence built into it so that you could actually go to a cocktail bar in Buenos Aires if you wanted to, that you could come to Puebla, Mexico if you wanted to, that you could operationally operate this business from anywhere in the world, that this, how much of this came into the e-commerce idea, and then ultimately also, because there's e-commerce and there's e-commerce. And I know, because I've run my own e-commerce brand. I built my own e-commerce brand. And I know, obviously, there's a big difference between selling something light and small and compact that can go into a courier satchel and something that requires a LTL shipment, shipping a lathe across the country, right? And so when you think about what you could have sold and which part of the industry you could have gone into, and you had everything, the world was your oyster, how much of this was, hey, we want to have something that has minimal operational complexity, has global shipping, is not gonna, it's not gonna break our back to ship these items globally, and we can build a business where we can literally run this from anywhere in the world and give us freedom ultimately at the end of the day, not just an income.
Huge. It was a huge piece of it. It's funny how similar the benefit to the product is to the life I was trying to create by creating this business. The word Unbound is quite intentional. It's not just about the brand promise as far as what we sell with the product, which is pack less, experience more. We sell freedom in a sense because you have less stuff. You can wisp around and you don't have to have the luggage weighing you down. You could be more spontaneous and all of those brand promises. This was a cry for help, if you will. I couldn't do what I was doing anymore. I felt like a prisoner in my old business. So everything about this was about creating a lifestyle where I could grow a business. 'Cause I loved being an entrepreneur. I still do. I've always have since I was a kid. It's in my blood. But I didn't like feeling like I was a prisoner in my own business. And I felt that. I felt with if I wasn't constantly in boardrooms doing business development in my old agency, there'd be cash flow problems in a few months. They're coming. I had to be on the hunt all the time. So, Unbound, the word is about freedom. And when we created this business, all of the systems were built around, can this be done from a laptop? Because I want to open my computer at home in my condo in Toronto, close it, get on a plane, and open it from an Airbnb wherever I am in the world and have the same job. It's not about where I go for work physically. It's about what are we putting into this business, I guess, mentally. So the whole thing, structure wise, was about being free, being wherever we want, setting it up so we didn't have to have a physical presence and I could live where I wanted to live, be where I wanted to be. And turns out, I think that's actually a pretty good strategy for productivity because I'll tell you something. I'm from Canada. I love this country. I love being here in the summer. But when it's not the summer, I don't love it as much.
Yeah.
It's cold. Cold I can deal with a little bit, but what I can't deal with is how dark it gets. It
Yeah.
gets really dark. So I get on a plane in early January, and I usually go to Buenos Aires. I've
Yeah.
gone for the past 3 years, and I'm there for a couple months. And the sun is shining, and I'm happy, and I'm getting the best work of my life done. And this business has enabled me to live that lifestyle, and I take it very seriously. And when I'm in a place I love, like Buenos Aires or in Mexico or wherever I might be, recently in Australia, I feel so grateful that I can do this, that I work extra hard out of respect for the freedom I benefit from. So I'm like, I don't want it to end. I want to be able to have this kind of freedom, and really motivates me to keep going. Unbound is equally the word unbound, the concept of unbound is equally as much a business model of freedom for us as much as it is a product that enables freedom for our customers.
I love that. Optimizing for freedom. I certainly did the same thing after many years in the agency world, just like you. Decided to go back and go independent again, and I can consult with my clients literally from anywhere in the world with my laptop and an internet connection. And my wife and I, we don't have kids. We don't plan to have kids. We don't want kids. We've got dogs, but our goal is to spend most of our lives traveling together, and that's what we've been able to do with this business. And I guess I've got a similar level of respect and appreciation and love for the business that I have. And just like you, it really resonates with me when you said, I put so much effort into this because I respect it, I appreciate it, I understand the lifestyle that it's given me, and don't want to have to give that up through lack of effort, basically, through lack of commitment, right? Through resting on my laurels. And for me, that just totally resonates because I feel exactly the same. I feel lucky every single day that I wake up. I feel lucky to do what I do because I love it, first of all, but because I have worked really hard. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and I've worked really hard to optimize for freedom. And that was one of the motivations for us to come to Mexico with a lower cost of living, where I didn't have to take on clients that I didn't think were a perfect fit just to make payroll, or just to pay a team or something like that. It felt like if I can dramatically lower my outgoings and I can pay cash for everything, and I can pay cash for my house, I can pay cash for my car, have zero debt. It felt like that was a key unlock to global freedom for me and my wife. And, I'd love to know a little bit more about how you went from zero to 400,000 in a month with crowdfunding, because everybody says, and look, I've never built a fashion brand from scratch. So you're the one to speak to this, not me. Everyone says fashion is one of the hardest verticals to get into in terms of digital retail. Like, it's probably one of the most challenging areas of business you could possibly pick to go into, because there's just competition everywhere you look. Now, you did point out that when you looked across the market, yes, there were some merino products, but just like all the merino products made and sold in New Zealand, and especially down in the ANZ region, you got skivvies, you got all sorts of undergarments. You even have some outer garments. You even have some things like some turtlenecks and some other types of things, but they're definitely not what I would, none of it is really what I would look at and go, that's urban wear, or that's stylish clothing. So obviously you found a gap in the market. And as you said, you had these weekly meetings with your friends where you were trying to find something that not only you thought you'd love to do, but also had legs as a business model and as a vertical. Was there any trepidation at all that told you, geez, okay, I've heard the horror stories. I've even maybe in my agency days tried to help build fashion brands alongside my customers. Was there any concern that you were going into one of the most competitive industries in the world?
No, I
Wow.
was completely naive. If I knew how hard it was to start an apparel brand, I wouldn't have started it. Turns out, listen, I didn't go into this and feel like I was going uphill the whole way from the start. I told you we did a crowdfunding campaign and we blew our expectations out of the water. So I immediately thought this thing has legs right away. But there's an interesting difference, I think, in what we do and what a lot of these fashion brands, as you say, do. Is I don't think that we're a fashion brand. We don't sell a trend or cool clothing or what's in style, and we don't try to set the trends. We sell timeless classics, and we sell the benefit. So we're not selling, here's the best t-shirt. We're selling freedom. This pack less so you can experience more. Your travel experience is going to be a lot better if you pack this way. So that concept is what we're selling. And selling on benefits is a lot easier than trying to sell what's cool, trendy, or in. In fact, I find to sell what is in on a trend is very risky, because if you really blow it up and you become really popular, if you can somehow pull that off, you're not going to be cool forever. So it would be like, what's your moat? How do you stay trendy for a long period of time? And I could think of so many fashion brands that have come and gone. Not everyone can end up being like a Chanel or something that's going to last for generations. So we're not selling fashion, and that's the key difference. Look, I wanted this thing to exist for me. I think when people are looking, there's a lot of things that would signal whether something's a good idea or not, as far as starting a new e-commerce brand or creating a product. But I think one of the best signals for why you might want to start something is if you want that thing to exist yourself, not because you want to start a business because you want to make money, but because the thing doesn't really exist. I said at the beginning of this call, if the business didn't work, I would have a box of these t-shirts that I want. And I would be quite happy with that, because I went and I created them. I want them to exist. Maybe I would have 100 of them and it would last me for a decade or 2 decades or whatever, 100, however long 100 t-shirts might last me. But I'd have them and I'd love them and I'd be happy with those. And I also I would have peace in the fact that I tried. I tried to launch this business. It didn't work. We couldn't find product market fit. At least I scratched that itch. At least I tried. But I did want it to work, and it did. The reason why I think it worked is because I was able to identify that this thing doesn't exist, and I really want this thing to exist. So we were creating it for its own sake. And I think that's a good signal for why you might want to start a business and why I felt excited and compelled to want to do this.
And how did you choose your tech stack? I see you run a pretty common fashion tech stack. The Shopify's, the Klaviyo's, etc., the Okendos. The You run a pretty standard stack, for lack of a better term, for fashion retail. And how much of that also played into this idea of freedom, where, hey, look, I'm buying not just a platform to sell through, but I'm actually buying into an ecosystem of, kind of, for lack of a better term, Lego bricks that I can snap together, especially with thousands of apps in the App Store now, the Shopify App Store. Almost every major back office and front office system out there has some sort of integration with Shopify today. And then, of course, standalone integration platforms that have Shopify as a destination. How much was the tech stack driven by not only efficiency, but also, hey, look, if I want to tap into an ecosystem where I don't have to build everything from scratch or customize everything, and I don't want to have to be responsible for developing my entire tech roadmap and owning that forever and a day, and maybe even launching with some tech debt, how much of your current tech stack selection had to do with, hey, I'm not buying a platform, I'm buying into an ecosystem that is going to make my life easier in terms of the operational running of this business?
I spend zero time thinking about that. Shopify was the only thing that I knew at the time. I've known that could be a viable option. I've known of Shopify. I'm from Toronto. There was a big Shopify office in my hometown. I knew people that worked there. I look at the templates. I'm like, wow, this looks very easy. And that's what we need. We already have a bunch of assets because we did a crowdfunding campaign. We have photography. We have a brand. We have icons. We have all sorts of stuff we created. So, first of all, I want to say doing a crowdfunding campaign is the best business model that you could ever do, because you have to figure everything out. You have to figure out your manufacturing, and you have to source suppliers. You need to create a brand of the brand name. You have to have sales copy, photography, everything that you need will be put into a crowdfunding campaign, and then you got to take it to the market and see if people buy it. So if you have a crowdfunding campaign, you have everything you need. Sorry, if you have a successful crowdfunding campaign, you have everything you need to go onto Shopify very easily and start a real business. Because a crowdfunding campaign is just a start. It is not a business. A business is a Shopify store. We found a template we liked. We started piecing stuff together, and I spent no time thinking about the tech stack because Shopify made it easy. As far as all the other integrations like Klaviyo and things like that, we had no idea what was good and what was bad. We just think about it from a customer perspective. If someone buys our stuff, we want to stay in touch with them. What are the emails that we want to make? And we didn't think about what's the best email app. We thought, what are the emails going to look like? That's what we focused on. And then I talked to people who know how to do emails, and they said you should use Mailchimp. So I started using Mailchimp, and then something happened with Mailchimp, and people said go to Klaviyo. So people that are experts usually tell us what the best thing is, and I don't spend time sifting through the apps trying to think which one's going to make my business better. I think about everything from a customer's perspective. Someone buys our t-shirt, they love our t-shirt. Now what? How do we communicate with them? What are the things that we want to say to them? How do we want to stay in touch in a way that's not annoying? It's not about optimizing the best app to perform better. It's about really just getting out of your own head and thinking from the customer's perspective. That's the only way you should be thinking about your business. So I do think about how the emails are going to look. I do think about what are cart add-ons that we can add at checkout and things like that. But it's not about the app. I don't care. I think about the customer experience only. And I don't even look at the App Store. In fact, I've probably spent less than 10 minutes looking at the Shopify App Store in the past 9 years. Because
Wow.
typically it's just about we obsess over the product quality and the customer experience. Whatever app you use, is just ask someone who knows what they're talking about. Use that, it's good enough. Worry about how you use the app, not what the app is.
I love it. Do you use order editing, the app order editing, Hamish Mackay?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. There you go. Here's another piece of advice for you guys. Order editing. It's the only app out there that I'm aware of for Shopify that allows customers, it gives them a window after they place their order to edit it before it goes through for processing. And it allows one click upsells. If they decide to edit, they get the option of adding additional items to their cart. It's very cool. The app is called Order Editing. And funnily enough, it was built and designed by a guy, one of the founders is from Canada, and one of the founders is from New Zealand. And I've actually had them I had Hamish on the podcast before. So, yeah. So again, they were building something that they thought that the user experience, one element of the user experience of Shopify was broken, which is that customer service oftentimes, well, before their app, customer service teams had to go in and they had to edit these orders and they had to make changes and the customer had to email through, and then it created a whole bunch of tickets. And why wouldn't we want to have this as a self-service option for the customer with no heavy lift by the brand? And so again, back to your point, I think the one benefit of being on Shopify is the fact that it has created this village type ecosystem around the platform, this nexus around the platform, and there's so many people running the platform now that it incentivizes developers to write apps for the platform. And that's the one benefit. I think you might not be looking at apps in the App Store, but I can tell you from experience that when you have gone out there to try to improve your customer's experience in a specific way, if you are on a different platform, that may be harder for you to do. And so that's one benefit you get from being inside that ecosystem, is because there's so many options out there to achieve the type of experience you want to build.
Yeah, and we've used so many different apps that have been so great for us. And the truth is, I had not even spent a moment thinking about other platforms outside of Shopify. And that's not to say there aren't great ones. I'm sure there are. I know Wix and Squarespace and WordPress, these exist. I don't know if they're good or not. Magento, don't know if it's good or not. I don't care. Shopify has been so easy. I have no idea how to code anything. And
Yes.
the initial website that we had, I did a big chunk of it myself because it was drag and drop.
Yeah.
It was just like, this thing works. It was so easy to get started, and I've never had to worry about the site crashing. The checkout works. I don't think about this. I know it's gotten a lot more sophisticated as the team has grown, and we have experts who know how to customize things and optimize things. But to get started, Like it was just I had two business partners. It was just us. We were running out of a storage locker. Our warehouse was a little storage self storage locker in Toronto, and our office was a coffee shop in our neighborhood where we'd meet up and get this Shopify template up and running. It was so easy. And ever since then, it's like from being a tiny brand with just an idea to a pretty significant real e-commerce brand, just facilitates it all the way through.
Wow.
I've really just loved Shopify.
That's awesome. And when you first started out with your crowdfunding campaign, because not every crowdfunding campaign is a success, and so you have, as you pointed out, you have to put as much energy, love, thought, intention into the crowdfunding campaign as you would as if the business was already up and running and selling things. And so, how did you market your crowdfunding campaign to get it in front of the right people, to get the attention on it, to how did you get the word out? Just like you would today want to get the word out around your website, how did you get the word out around the crowdfunding campaign? Now, the platform can help in some respects, but it's like a giant marketplace, right? That's kind of what a crowdfunding platform is. It's just a giant marketplace of ideas that people can invest in if they so desire under the terms that the person setting it up dictates. But how did you get the word out about this campaign?
We worked really hard to make sure that we gave it the best shot we could. And there's so many little strategies that we deployed, but the main thing we did is I assured at least we'd get some starting momentum from friends and family. So we put all this energy in for a year. It took probably about a year and a half from when we started working on the crowdfunding campaign to launching the crowdfunding campaign. And that included sourcing and prototyping and photography, everything. It took a long time to get to the point where we had a product that was ready to go and everything was up and running and we had the video and all of that stuff. And my biggest fear was we'd put it out there and nobody would buy. So the first thing that we decided to do was get everyone that I was comfortable asking, from close friends and family to distant acquaintances. If I knew them, I would ask them if they were willing to back us. Now, a lot of people will ask you online, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you upvote my thing? Can you vote this? I just launched this business." And you may or may not want to support them. And depending how cut and paste their messages, you might even just ignore them because you
Yes.
know they sent it to 400 other people. But what I did is I told people, in a month from now, we're going to be launching this thing. When it was a month out, I told everybody, I said, when it goes on sale, can I like reach out to you? And maybe you, if you feel at the time you want to support, you can. I'm just asking them to be are they interested enough to hear about it? And most people would say yes. And for every single person that I talked to, what I ended up doing is I created a custom video for them. This was our strategy to get our initial momentum. So for you, if you agreed, I would say, "Hey, Jason, I remember we spoke and you said I talked about my t-shirt brand that I'm launching. It's live, and your support means the world to me. No worries if you not a good timing for you to buy something, but check it out. Buy a t-shirt. It's the best price we're ever going to do. And I put my heart and soul into this, and I blah blah blah." Some of these videos were hilarious because we were just drinking whiskey the whole time, and they got a little rowdy. But my point is, every single person got their own custom video, and then I'd send it to them in Facebook Messenger, and it would say jason.mpeg or whatever with a play button, and they see my face. It's quite compelling to want to hit that play button rather than just feel like it's a copy paste message. And then they would see me talking, and I'd say, "Jason, remember you said you would have support. Thank you so much, and don't feel pressure, but it would mean the world to me if you would at least check it out." And the orders just started coming in just from friends and family. And I would see my brother and my cousin and my business partner's cousin and all these people I'm familiar with. One after the other were just buying one t-shirt or three t-shirts, but people were supporting. And what happened, we provoked the algorithm. We fudged the system to make our campaign trend, because after the 15th, 20th order or whatever it was, I started seeing names I was unfamiliar with. They started rolling in. And now this campaign looked hot. And when a campaign looks hot, people are interested. So the orders kept rolling in and rolling in. Then Indiegogo, where we did the crowdfunding campaign, they saw us successful. So they pushed us in their newsletter, and that was a huge lift. So this thing had momentum from the get go, but the initial momentum, the ball rolling, was totally manufactured by us. We pushed it into existence, created a little hype around our own brand, and then that hype snowballed into something bigger.
Wow. Wow. And apart from your own direct to consumer website, what other channels do you sell across? Do you sell on TikTok Shop? Do you sell on Amazon? Do you sell on other marketplaces, global marketplaces? Where do you sell other than direct to consumer on your own website?
Nowhere.
Wow. You're like, I want
Nowhere.
to own this brand experience forever.
Yeah. Yeah. We toy with getting on Amazon, and a lot of people think we're nuts that we're not there. And we talk about wholesale. We talk about pop up shops. We've done nothing. We sold on unboundmerino.com, nowhere else. And that's been great for us. We've developed a relationship with our customers, and we have a direct line of communication to them. Our mailing list has grown to have hundreds of thousands of people now, and yeah, it's just our own little world.
That is so great to own the relationship with your customer. At what point did you decide, because you've been doing this for nearly a decade now, at what point did you decide to expand the product range? Because what I see is a lot of brands, they'll expand too quickly, they'll expand too early, they'll spread themselves too thin, the quality of the original product might go down, and it just loses focus. They lose focus, they lose attention, and it just becomes difficult for them to win without the level of laser focus that you said you had right from day dot. At what point did you say, okay, I think we're stable enough, I think we're big enough, I think we're capable enough of starting to think about expanding our range beyond the humble t-shirt? Because now you've got a pretty substantial range on your website. At what point did you decide we can do this?
So there was a couple reasons why we decided. At first, we thought we could just be a t-shirt brand, and we keep it super simple and not sell much of anything else. But we started growing, and we needed more money to fund our inventory and to fund our growth. And we never had any outside capital. We didn't come from money. The only money we had was the money that was coming into the cash register on Shopify. So we started thinking, like, what are we going to do? Like, we're selling out so fast. We had to put in bigger orders. We don't have enough money to put in the orders that we think we need, and the lead times are quite long. So we thought of doing another crowdfunding campaign. And to do another crowdfunding campaign, we had to have a new product. But it was very easy for us to know what the next product was, because just like I was the core consumer, again, I wanted this product to exist for me. I knew what I wanted next. I wanted a hoodie. It was obvious. It was obvious to me. There wasn't a lot of question around it. The two next items that we wanted was a long sleeve t-shirt and a hoodie. So we thought the hoodie's a little more expensive. Let's do a crowdfunding campaign. And we already have a customer base. It's going to be a little easier this time. We're not going to have to do all the videos for everyone. We know our customers are going to buy it right away. So we did a crowd. I can't remember how much we made on that, but it was similar to the first one, but with way less effort, because we didn't have to make all the videos and all that stuff. And I didn't have to ask my friends to buy things. So let's just say, I can't remember the exact number, but it was close. Let's say it's another $400,000 for hoodies. And that was like a little injection of cash that we could just buy a bunch of inventory to fund our growth. And then we realized people want newness. What's the next product that we need? Some new colors. Maybe we want to button up. We want some shorts. We want pants. So we were just doing men's clothing at the time. And what we wanted next was always obvious to us for a long period of time, because I knew what I wanted. So we did that for as much as we could, and that lasted us for years until we decided to release women's. And the reason we released women's is because the demand was clearly there. People were emailing us nonstop. Why don't you make women's? When's women's clothing coming out? So we started to get into that. But what we realized along the way was people trusted our brand. They were coming back for more and more t-shirts, buying our hoodie, buying our long sleeve. Our returning customer rate was super high. People crave newness. If we release something, we made sure to try to have a certain standard of quality that we would be proud of. And we were only releasing one product at a time. We didn't do a lot of fashion brands will do the spring, summer, or the fall,
Yeah.
winter line. And
Yes.
they have all these SKUs and all these colors. And it's a major investment. And some things might be a flop. We were releasing one product at a time, adding a color here and there. Very simple, very slow. But when there was something new, people got really excited and they bought it. So it was a slow, long build. Our assortment is quite expansive compared to where it was now, but it's actually quite small if you compare it to a lot of other e-commerce apparel brands. And
Yes.
remember, we've been building that out for 9 years. For 9 years of product expansion, it's not that many products.
Yeah. And did you move away at some point? It sounds, could be wrong, that you moved away from the Indiegogo type crowdfunding model to a pre-release model through your own platform, through your own website as that crowdfunding model, which is to say, oh, we're coming out with a new product. We're going to be launching a new product. We're going to be releasing a new product. Go to the website, pre-order it, and that's going to give us the money to actually bring this thing to you. Is that kind of the model you've switched to now?
Yeah, we did one more crowdfunding campaign after that to launch the women's
Oh,
apparel brand, and that was the last. And that after that point, we're like, I think we're fine. We can just do pre-orders on our own, and we do it sometimes. We do pre-orders for new and exciting stuff that we just want to get out early. Also, if we're doing smaller runs, we tend to want to do pre-orders so the people who are really want it will pre-order and they can secure their item. And that's our way of testing if there is demand on something that's a little bit new. We're getting into a lot more knitwear stuff, so we want to pre-release things. Again, small runs, it will sell out very fast, but people who are really excited about that thing can secure it. And we measure whether or not there's a good enough demand to like stock this as a core item or not, gauging by pre-orders.
how did you manage to avoid the same kind of pitfalls that befell companies like Allbirds and Eight Sleep and a whole bunch of the D2C darlings that absolutely exploded during COVID and then have shrunk back to, many of them have actually gone out of business. Some of them were rolled up under an Amazon type of a roll up. Some of them went public. Some of them, they made a lot of mistakes. Allbirds, famously, they're in danger of going bankrupt now. And they were really late to the wholesale game. They were really late to the bulk distribution game. They were really late to trying to go global with their product as opposed to just focusing on the United States. They made a lot of mistakes and even vaunted Nike, who was trying to pivot hard towards pure D2C, has had to renege on that a little bit and go back hat in hand with some of their retail partners and say, look, we were wrong. We can't do this all D2C ourselves. We need retail partners. How have you managed to dodge those D2C bullets that these global behemoths haven't managed to dodge? Was there ever a temptation to get ahead of your skis, especially during COVID? Was there a temptation to go for a growth at all costs mindset for a period of time? Or were you always thinking in the back of your mind, we want to be self funded as best we can. And if we can't be fully self funded, we're going to be customer funded. And that's going to be our business model. Come hell or high water, that's how we do things. And that's how we're going to continue to do things.
Yeah, I think that you're saying it. We're self-funded, so we can't take these big gambles. And I think that if we had a bunch of venture money sitting there, it's like the money sitting in the account. We can if we're not that profitable on our customer acquisition strategy, then whatever. We're growing. We just want to grow. We want to grow to make the value of the company so big because we want to sell. If that's our mentality, it would be different. But we're not growing to sell per se. We don't even have any plans of bringing on any outside capital. Given that we're bootstrapped, we can't afford to do things that don't work. So we do things slowly. We make sure they're profitable. Our customer acquisition strategy, we always make sure that we're going to break even on the first purchase. That was our goal. We'll scale as hard as we can, but if we're losing money on the first purchase, we're stopping. We're not going to grow anymore. And losing money on the first purchase isn't even that bad of a thing because we know that within 3 months, 30% of our customers come back for a second purchase.
Wow.
So we know we're going to make money on the second purchase, but our floor is profitability. We make everything we do, we aim for profitability because profit is the only way that we can grow. Profit's how we reinvest. Profit allows us to have a little breathing room and not be tight and have our back against the wall. So we've done things slow. We're not a trend product. We sell our core product is a black crew neck t-shirt. It's what we sell the most of. If you try our black crew neck t-shirt on and you like the t-shirt, especially men, they're in forever. They're coming back for more. They're coming to buy. Like, men are simple. So there's a lot of these adages that you hear about what makes a good business, and one of them is don't be in the order business, be in the reorder business. That's worked out well for us. People try we try to get one t-shirt, you're gonna love it. And then after that, their whole wardrobe starts to become unbound and they just keep coming back. Again, I don't know what went wrong with 8 Sleep or Allbirds or anything like that, but first of all, it's not easy to get someone to wear a pair of shoes and not be the only pair of shoes they wear forever. They might try Allbirds, and again, I don't know. I didn't study this business, but I bought Allbirds before and I liked them. I thought these are great. They're cool. I bought the tree runners. I bought the wool ones.
Yeah, me too. I bought the
And
wool. Yeah.
yeah, and I put them on and these are super comfortable. And then I wore them out and then I bought some Nikes. And it wasn't because I didn't like the Allbirds. It's just I moved on. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to find my staple shoe. It's not Allbirds. However, I think it's easier to get someone to try a plain black t-shirt and be like, this is my shirt. So it's a simple product. The business model is simple. We make sure that we're profitable. If things get tight, we diagnose the problem right away. We always know what's going on. Like, we're not doing so much at once that we can't figure out what's working, what isn't. When something's not working, it's pretty glaringly obvious. And we concentrate our effort on that and pivot and change. And I think we've just had a strong business intuition, to be honest. We've made a lot of decisions that have worked out well for us, not eroding our brand. We don't do any sales. There's one. We don't do sales. We try to make a customer relationship where they value our product enough to pay full price. The only sale we do is Black Friday because it's a huge event. Everyone knows that. They're not waiting for a sale because all of our purchases are going to be profitable. And if you don't want to spend, if you don't think that it's worth spending the $90 to buy the t-shirt, you don't have to buy it. But there's value there. It's a great value because we obsess over quality and it's not cheap to make the shirts. We're not afraid to say that it's expensive because it's really good stuff, but it's a profitable purchase for us. Like, we're making money. That's how we continue to be able to innovate and make our products better and uphold the certain quality. Everything's really simple and it's just a profitable, simple business.
And what was your first hire outside of your group of founders that you said you founded this business with after however many weeks or months it was of deciding which business you were going to go into together? You knew you were going to go into business together, but you just didn't know with what was the first hire that you made outside of this circle of founders, and how big is your team today?
The first hire we made was Naeem, who still works with us. He's a legend. He runs our warehouse. He was the first pick and packer. Just, I said, I hired him. I worked with him in a previous business, and I said, I can guarantee that you're going to be employed here for 2 to 3 months. I don't know if you're going to have a job after that because I don't know if the Shopify store is going to work. That was just fulfilling all the crowdfunding orders as we started the Shopify store. And he took a bet on us because he liked working with me. He started working with us. Turns out the Shopify store started working as well. He's still with us. He runs our Canadian warehouse. We also have a US warehouse. And we're almost at 40 people now.
Wow. Okay. And so he runs all of your logistics basically.
Yeah, for the Canadian warehouse.
That's
Which was
amazing.
our only warehouse up until recently. Now we split it. Canada and the US have their own. We do our own
And
fulfillment.
you do your own fulfillment. Okay, cool. So you don't use a 3PL or anything like that. Do you ship your products globally or only Canada, US?
Globally.
You ship globally. Okay, so you'll either ship from your Canada warehouse or your US warehouse, presumably whichever one has the stock and it's closest to your customer, the cheapest to ship to your customer. Amazing. And what is next for you guys? Is it much more of the same? Is it when you've looked to hire team members? 40 is not a small operation anymore. You're now a mid-sized, medium-sized business for sure. Are you oftentimes hiring for marketing roles, product development roles? Like, what are the gaps in your business that allow you to innovate the fastest on product and the way that you go to market and get your product in front of more customers and acquire new customers? What is the bottleneck, as it were, to your growth right now? It's obviously not money because you got customers that are willing to pre-buy new things. It's almost like crowdfunding from your existing customer base, which is awesome. It's awesome that they have that much faith and confidence in you, that they want to keep supporting you and they want to keep seeing your new stuff be in the world. That is an awesome place to be. So if it's not capital and if it's not dropping new products and trying to get the word out about those because you got a great advocacy group in your customer base, what is the bottleneck to you guys growing today?
We again, we try to keep things simple, and being good at marketing is inherent in. We come from a marketing background. My last business was a video marketing agency. We have some chops when it comes to videos and photography. And my one of my business partners, he was a creative director at an ad agency. He's very good at copywriting. So all of the digital ads, he has a knack for what's that like real great hook. He comes up with great email hooks. We are great at marketing, and we started with a really good t-shirt. So we just had to really beef up our marketing to get that t-shirt in as many people's hands as possible. But the most important thing is the product quality. The marketing is meaningless if what that customer unpacks in that package is junk. It has to be amazing enough that not only do they come back, they also tell their friends about it. Why would I have the nerve to spend $90 on a t-shirt? Here's why. It's amazing and it's the best t-shirt ever. And there's a lot of people who are advocates for us, and the word of mouth is huge. So the first and foremost thing we care about is we are on a mission to create the world's best travel clothing. And that requires us having really developing the product team, that they're really focused on sourcing the best fabrics, getting the best fits, what's the whole process so that we are creating the best stuff to possibly go into your carry-on. After that, how do we get travelers to pack it? So it's the marketing, initial customer, also the retention marketing, getting people to come back, get new releases, all of that stuff. And from there, it's very operational. How do we make sure that we're not bloated, that for all of the great product that we're making and all the great marketing that we're doing to get those in people's carry-ons, are we running a healthy and profitable company? Because the profit is the wiggle room that we have for R&D, creating new stuff, having the right people. Like, we just need to be profitable. So though that's like the flywheel, right? Make the best clothing, market it well, and drive profitability. And everything is centered around that. Of course, also avoiding burnout. So people, I mean, that goes hand in hand with everything. We're at any given moment, one of those things in the flywheel is going to be better or worse than the others. Sometimes it might be profit is tight. So what are we doing? Let's diagnose that and let's focus on our operational stuff. Or we're not releasing enough products, or some products are getting returned, like what's happening on the product development side. But we always stay focused on thinking of it like a flywheel. Like, how does one, like, we have to make the best stuff in the world for travel. We have to have world-class marketing so people know about it and are buying it and coming back for more. And the whole thing needs to work profitably so that the thing works. Because if it's not profitable, then
Why
the
do
whole
it?
thing falls apart.
Yeah, why do it?
Yeah.
If we
Not
can't
just
make
why
money,
do it. It would also just, we would just not be able to continue to grow because we would have no resources to make new stuff, to invest in new market, try new things, try new marketing angles, try new products, take a stab at something new. The profitability gives us the wiggle room to have the ability to experiment, continue to grow. And also, yeah, we also want to be a profitable business to fund everything that we want to do in life and in business.
It all
We
starts
do
with
keep
profit.
it simple. Sometimes we get things get complicated and we always pull back and say, okay, remember the basics here. Just simple. Make don't over order, get product in people's hands, do pre-orders, just keep it simple, keep it profitable.
I love it. I love it. Do you spend any time at all thinking about competitors?
A little bit, not much. A lot of the brands that I look to are I wouldn't even consider competitors or different spaces. So I might be inspired by some of their photography or some cool emails, but in our world, the brands that are the closest competitors, I not really. I find if you pay attention too much to them, it impacts your own creative edge. Oh, we should do this too, or we shouldn't do this. It's like, why am I even thinking about what we can offer in relation to what another brand offers? Now, having said that, I do have noticed a few brands copying some of our stuff. Even this drives my business partner crazy because he's the creative one with the copywriting, some straight up plagiarism. And when I see that, I'm like, that's pretty cool. I don't get offended. I like it because
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Isn't that what they
yeah,
say?
and I also feel I'm like, we have plenty more where that came from. If you're copying us, we're not copying you. What does that say about you guys? So here's what we're doing and why it works really well is this stuff from a product development standpoint to the marketing is very authentically us. This brand is like everything that Unbound is. The ethos of this whole brand is so authentically who I am that it's not hard to come up with the marketing and the product development because I'm like, I am the core customer. It's a nice advantage. So we can get creative and try to make this brand a brand that we love and we don't need to pay attention to what other brands are doing. Sometimes it comes into our vision, on the horizon. I can see what a competitor is doing and maybe it'll affect me a little bit, but I try to really not care. If that
I
makes sense.
love that. I love that. And have you guys decided, have you moved away from, okay, we're going to do 100% of our own marketing and we're not going to work with, say, influencers, or we're not going to work with whatever, or have you, we're not going to do pay-per-click advertising, we're not going to do meta advertising, we're not going to do all these other, we're not going to do a TikTok shop because that's not us? Or have you loosened, you've already said we don't do Amazon, we probably never will do Amazon, that's fine. But are there other channels, are there other marketing channels that you've loosened your thinking a little bit around and played around with to say, cool, is there a new cohort of customer that we're just completely not getting in front of because that's where they discover new brands and we're not there, so therefore they wouldn't know that we exist? Have you loosened your thinking about that, around that a little bit, or are you still pretty much, nope, we really focus on customer advocacy as our primary marketing channel?
No, we're willing to try. When it comes to marketing, we're willing to try anything. There are times when I feel on the outside of understanding how it works. TikTok is a good example. I don't use TikTok,
Yep.
so it's hard for me to feel strongly about how to effectively market on TikTok. But we're told all the time TikTok's the future. So our social media manager, she dips her toe into it. We haven't had a we haven't cracked the code on it, but we're willing to try all new marketing. We're not willing to go full on into it with invest heavily
Yes,
and bet the farm on it.
of
We dip
course.
our toe. The way I look at marketing is I always have this visual in my head. It's like walking down a hall with a million doors and you got to nudge the doors open and sometimes there's nothing in there and sometimes there's might be something in there and sometimes you strike gold, but you have to keep poking the doors open, not running all in and going full into that door and investing all your energy in, but walk in and take a little look around and keep doing it and constantly try. So we've managed to scale our paid ads on Meta and that's been what we've done the most of as far as new customer acquisition. We've been really good at that. But it's not lost on us that The algorithms change. Sometimes it's not working as well as others. And maybe one day, like, what would happen if we got kicked off of Meta for
Yeah.
some reason? That's our bread and butter. We can't have all our eggs in one basket. So, affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, let's toy with that a bit. And we started to see some traction there. So that's grown quite a bit. And Google has grown quite a bit. TikTok hasn't really grown, but we still dip our toe
Dabbling,
in.
dabbling.
Yeah, so we're always down. Pinterest is something we talk
Yeah.
about. Like it's just like we try Reddit, we try X, anywhere we can dip our toe, we're always looking. And if we're able to see a little bit of an opportunity and we see a little bit of success, we start to unpack it a little bit more, a little bit more. But we never ever want to have our eggs all in one basket. And there was a time when Meta was so heavy as far as like our marketing mix was. It was like the dominant thing that I'm like, this is risky. We got to make sure we diversify.
I love that. I love that. Listen, Dan, this has been a master class in entrepreneurship, personal freedom, e-commerce, sticking to your knitting, pardon the pun, sticking to your knitting, and growing a brand from scratch based on a passion and something you wanted to see in the world. This has been a very enjoyable conversation. It really, truly has. If people want to get a hold of you and they want to chat with you, I'll drop a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes, as well as the website in the show notes, Unbound Merino. So, other than LinkedIn and your website, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you and chat all things merino, entrepreneurship, business, freedom, digital nomadism? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Just look me up, Dan Demsky. If you type that into Google, you'll find my Instagram, my LinkedIn, whatever. Unbound Merino. You can search for that. We're on
Everywhere.
everything. Yeah, Instagram and yeah, TikTok. We're on TikTok.
Wow. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Listen, this has been super fun. I've really enjoyed this, and definitely a lot of things that you said resonated with me and kind of what we've tried to build in terms of our lifestyle. And definitely it resonates. And I think my audience is going to get a tremendous amount of value out of your learnings, your experience of doing this for over nearly a decade. Actually, you've been put into this business. You put your heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears into this business. So congratulations on your success so far. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, this is where I get to flip the script. I get to hand the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It could be personal or professional. So, Mr. Dan Demsky from Unbound Merino, what is your question for me today?
I am curious about what you think are the main things that e-commerce entrepreneurs should concern themselves with as it relates to AI today, because there's it's taken over. What excites you in AI for the immediate future, not in the this,
Yeah.
not like what's going to happen in a year or two or three, but in terms of stuff that people could start thinking of today, and implementing this year.
Yeah, agentic commerce is for sure coming. That's not an immediate thing. I don't think enough people's queries and searches in the world, like all of mine for the last 9 months, have been through ChatGPT because I have a plugin in my browser that redirects all my queries now to ChatGPT. So I haven't done a Google search. I can't remember the last time I did a Google search, but I'm not the norm, and I'm a tech early adopter. So I'm not representative of the market. And for my clients, I'm heavily focused on B2B. For the last 5 years of my consultancy, I have been focused totally on manufacturers and distributors in terms of e-commerce consulting. But one of the things I try to tell my customers is that, look, you don't necessarily need to worry too much in the immediate future around this AI thing, or thinking about how can I get AI into my business, because every single tech vendor that you work with is already breaking their back to figure out how to get AI into their platforms. Whether it's your ERP, your accounting system, your e-commerce platform, it doesn't really matter what tech you're using today, your CRM, whatever it is you're using today. Every single vendor is trying to figure out how AI works in their platform and how they can get AI technology into their platform, not only to make them more efficient as a vendor, but also to help make you more efficient as a business. So I think business leaders stress many times over the wrong things, right? Me, I have to worry about this stuff because I'm consulting on it. And so I have to think about it. I'm already building apps in Lovable on the side because I want to figure out how this whole vibe coding thing works. I want to figure out what I can build and put out into the world that makes sense to the world and has a value in the world. And so I'm already playing with lots and lots of AI tooling, and I have been for a very long time. And I use lots of creator focused AI tooling, all the way from Descript to WriteBlogger to Opus Clip, which uses AI to clip your videos and all sorts of other things. So I'm using lots of AI technology every single day. But do I worry about specifically how can merchants get AI into their business? I don't stress too much about that right now. Agentic AI and agentic commerce and agentic procurement, oddly, are probably going to start impacting B2Bs more than B2Cs and D2Cs in the immediate future, because all the agentic procurement platforms, or all the procurement platforms, the e-procurement platforms out there, they're moving to a more of an agentic model of buying. And so I think if you have agentic buyers, then you need to be able to be an agentic seller. And so there's no standard yet on the selling side, although MCP looks like it's emerging as a new standard for agentic selling. And the reality is, the likes of Shopify, you're on Shopify. Shopify's already done a deal, a development deal with OpenAI to be their primary partner for developing all their AI and agentic commerce capabilities. That's the first cab off the rank. The first integration is with Shopify. So as a brand, you're going to benefit from that. And so your
Mm.
products are going to show up in ChatGPT when people are querying anything around products like yours. You're going to turn up there. And so I think that for the most part, most merchants, you said it yourself. We focus on the basics. We focused on customer experience, a freaking awesome product that is so high quality that people want to rave about it and tell their friends. We focus on like just the basic stuff, right? And I think too many businesses, like, they want to leapfrog all the really hard basic shit, and they want to jump straight to, oh, how can AI improve my business? And I think that you are the poster child in the best possible way for do the simple shit right. Because, until you got that on lock, you don't need to be thinking about this AI shit. You got to crawl, walk, run. And you can't go straight from zero to being Usain Bolt overnight. That's not how this is going to work. I just think business success oftentimes looks a lot more like hard work than some kind of shortcut. That's what I
Mm.
feel.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great line. I agree.
Anyways, I really truly have enjoyed this. You're really clearly passionate about what you do and why you do it, and your why is super clear to me. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom with me and my audience. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to speak to you again soon.
Thanks for saying that, and thanks for having me. And it's been an honor.
If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.